And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I forgot to turn down the audio. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I am so phlegmy from the popcorn I just had. Episode 234, Constitutionals. Here we are. I just finished recording late night lately, full disclosure. And then, but before that, prior to that, I've been playing this for a week. Got on my bike. Hopped on my bike. Friday, Memorial Day weekend. People are going on trips, hanging out. They took the day off, doing everything they wanted to do. I finished working out. Which I have a story about. Anecdote. I hop on my bike. I ride it down to my local movie theater. I go see Mad Max Furiosa. And my God, what a fantastic movie. I rewatched Mad Max Fury Road last night. And, man, it just held up so well. I watched the black and white version, the black and chrome, rather. It was good. Good. I love those movies. They're fantastic. George Miller, I was looking at his Wikipedia. This guy makes hits. I need you to look at George Miller's Wikipedia. Go to his filmography. Look at the movies he's made. Mad Max, Mad Max 2, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, The Witches of Eastwick, Babe Pig in the City. That's right. Those two movies. Happy Feet 2. I would say it again. Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2. This guy was the director, writer, and producer for both of those movies. Then Fury Road, 3,000 Years of Longing, and Furiosa. Those are all the movies I've seen that he's done. I've never seen Lorenzo's Oil or 40,000 Years of Dreaming. But so far, this guy has never missed with me. I love 3,000 Years of Longing. What a fantastic movie. But man, it was crazy. You know, and I think about it, I was thinking about this as the movie was ending. There's a Mad Max cameo in Furiosa. I'm not ruining anything. We knew it was going to happen. But Tom Hardy was not the guy who did it. It was his stuntman, actually. And it was truly just like if you weren't paying attention, because it was just a zoom out, a dolly back, and we see Mad Max, and he's eating beans, and he's looking down, and he's eating beans, and that's it. And I went, oh, it's Mad Max. Oh my God, Anya Taylor-Joy did a good job. Chris Hemsworth did a fantastic job. And all the young actors they got to play the older one, to replace the older ones, were just great. Because this is like 20 years in the past. So you couldn't get the older ones. Great. It was great action. Great story. Oh, not once did I feel like it slowed down at all. There was a contrived love plot for about 20 minutes. It does not make sense. But anyways, fantastic. And there was a point where it's late into the movie because Furiosa is missing her left arm, and it's late into the movie, and I'm just thinking, when's her arm gonna? And then as soon as it happened, I went, oh, that's it. That's what happened. I'm like, what happens? She still has her arm. Oh my God. And there's still like an hour left. Nah, it's like 40 minutes. Doesn't really matter. I'm not ruining anything. I'm dancing right past everything. Anyway, so my story about the gym. I get to the gym. I'm a little late this morning. Usually I walk in at 5. Today I walk in at 5:15 or 5:10. I woke up about 5 minutes late, which put me back about 5 minutes, and I just took my time for everything. But I finished running, and I went to the gym to go lift weights. And I see, I'm not going to blow up the spot of this person. Last week, I mentioned that there was an A-list celebrity that works out of my gym. And it turns out there's a lot of A-list celebrities that work out of my gym. And adult film stars that work out at the gym as well. But I don't know who they are. Oh, no. And I walk in, say my hellos to the people I know. And I start setting up my area. I like to make my own area. No big deal. I'm the person that takes up areas of the gym. And I'm setting up my area, and I see, like, I'm not kidding. I turn, and I look and I see this person. This is gonna sound so stupid. It's so douchey, but this person, I'll say he is like shadow boxing. It's not part of his workout. He's just like doing it. He's just like shadow boxing. He's taking up his own area. So I'm saying we're one on one. Listen, he's bouncing to his music, and I'm like, and I see the back of his head, and then he turns. So he's shadow boxing, and then he turns. But once I see the back of his head, I'm like, oh, that is X. That is person X from some Marvel movies. And I go, look at this guy. I know who that is, exactly who that is. And, again, it's 5:15. There's not many people in the gym, or 5:10. There's not many people in the gym. And I was like, oh, all right. And then I'm setting up my area, and I need some lifting blocks some are right in front of him. I go, at that point, I'm like, I gotta go talk to him. I walk up to him, behind him, and when I walk up to people in the gym, I don't want to take up too much of their time. I put my hand on their backs, top of the shoulder. Hey, you mind? Hey, how's it going? Hey. That's what I do. I walk up to him, like hand on his shoulder. Hey man, you mind if I get those blocks in front of you? Go ahead. I'm not going to do a voice because you will know who it is immediately. No, you won't. Unless you've seen the handful of movies he's in. He's like, thanks man, appreciate it. And I just walk off and I go, yeah, that was him. Immediately. He was short. He was shorter than I thought he was going to be. And what's really strange is, or really fun, is that I had just watched a movie with him. I won't say when it came out because that will paint a picture of who this person is. I don't know if there are any. I don't think there are any more Marvel movies. There are in a couple, and the other Marvel star still going strong. And I went, all right, that's cool. And he was just bouncing around gym, looking at his phone the entire time. That was another thing. Every time we walked past each other, he was just dead in his phone, like scrolling, just scrolling deep. And I like truly about to like walk into like things. I'm going, what are you doing, bud? Look up. Oh, he was ripped. Oh my God, he looked fantastic. That was the second thing I noticed about him. I went, oh, that is X. So I thought said, that's X. And I went, wow, he's strong. Anyway, that's it. I also learned that of some famous, there's a Netflix TV show, and some of the actors work out at the gym. And also they go, I'm not going to say that. They work out at the gym. Sometimes people see them around the city. That's it. All right, let's get into the story. This comes from Bloomberg, written by Lucas Shaw. Apple, Netflix, and Amazon want to change how they pay Hollywood stars. I don't know why this story is first. It should have been last. But whatever. According to Shaw, in recent weeks, Apple Inc.'s Hollywood studio has told its business partners that it wants to change the way it pays talent. After years of compensating people as though all their projects were successful, Apple will soon begin basing pay on how a series of movies performs. So that means, take it like this. When Arnold Schwarzenegger first did, oh God, I forgot what movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he did a movie and he got points on the back end. And because he didn't want to, he didn't want to take a bigger check. So for Terminator, he got, am I correct about this? Was it Terminator or was it Jingle All the Way? Let me see. Arnold refused to get payments for the movie. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yes, for Terminator. For The Terminator, the movie is... what are we doing? Where's the thing? The movie is huge. Oh, for Twins. Excuse me. Yes, Twins was the one that got him his heftiest paycheck. So they were negotiating the deal for Twins. And he did not want to get payments for the movie. In fact, he believed in the movie so much that he wanted 45% of the movie after it was released, and the studio could produce the movie for $18 million. So they took the money that they were going to pay him, and then they put it towards the budget of the film. He got 45%. Boom. when that movie did well, inevitably, it earned $216 million in theaters. He earned between $35 and $40 million for the movie. So he really believed in himself, and it really worked out for him because he made money. So Apple, in a similar kind of vein, and Amazon and Netflix, they they met with talent representatives, and they kind of want to pay people along those lines. They proposed a new performance-based compensation regime, kind of like how you have at work. This is not good. People should be paid based on not how well the project does, because even if a movie like what's the new movie with Jennifer Lopez that she was discussing on Late Night this week? There's a new movie with her. Let me see what new movie it is. It is definitely not in the top 10. So that's sad. I'll watch it. I think it's called Atlas. Atlas. Okay. Well, I can't spell Atlas. Yes, Atlas. It's called Atlas. Why do I know that? Still can't do math. And that movie released today. It's not getting. I don't like the word. I don't like reviews, but I see it in my emails that it is not getting the most favorable reviews. Whatever. I'll watch it tonight before the Mavericks game starts. God, I have so much to do. I gotta put these out. I gotta watch the Mavericks game at 7:30. And so if that movie, again, it's not in the top 10 right now, but if that movie doesn't do well compared to Netflix's metrics, and their well is, much greater than what Hulu's is, which is much different than Apple's, which is much different than Amazon's, then if it was under this new system, then Jennifer Lopez wouldn't get paid. Let's say she was like offered $12 million for the movie. Or she should be offered, $12 million for this movie. Let's say they wanted to give her $6 million up front, and then after the fact, they're like, well, if you didn't do that well, so we'll only give you $2 more million, as opposed to the 12 she should. That's not the number that it is, but it's what happens. Talent would receive bonuses based on a point system. The size of the bonuses will be based on 3 criteria: the number of people who signed up for Apple TV to watch the show, to watch whatever it is. And you don't exactly know that, but I mean, if Ted Lasso puts out a new season and someone signs up for for Apple TV and they just watch Ted Lasso, then they'll know. Or I guess they're going to send out surveys. Who knows how much time they spent viewing? So how many episodes of Ted Lasso they watch, or how many times they watch those episodes, and the cost of the program relative to the size of the audience. Oh my God, this is just so difficult. People with one of the 3 top shows could share up to $10 million for a season, $10.5 million for a season. The plan isn't final. Apple has asked for feedback. It also doesn't apply to every show on Apple, just the ones that the company produces in-house. So that means if it's an Apple branded show that is produced by Apple itself. Let's see, and unlike a show that is, this is not. I'm not saying that this is what they would do, but like if Not a Doctor, who does let's see, a doctor production company, Fremulon. So that if let's say they had a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reboot, and Apple produced it, and alongside Fremulon, then they would get the money. Then they would have to do that plan. But if not, if Fremulon just produced it and they wanted to put it on the Apple platform, then that's what happened. Okay, I'm looking at shows like Loot. Let's see what Loot. Production companies include Normal Sauce, Alan Yang Pictures, Animal Pictures, 3 Arts Entertainment, and Universal Television. So again, Universal and all those other ones are the ones producing Loot. So then they wouldn't have to worry about that type of system. But if Apple is footing the bill for some of its shows, let us see what shows they have. Programming. Let's look. Little Voice. Let's check out Little Voice. Was that produced by? Nope, those were produced by Bad Robot and Warner. Okay. How about Foundation? They put a lot of money into Foundation. Skydance. All right. Anyway, whatever. You get the gist. The tech giant, along with Amazon and Netflix, is in the early stages of an experiment that will make the streaming business look a little bit more like the Hollywood of yore. because the points on the back end thing is what they did a lot in the past. Again, the Twins. That was in the early 90s. Or late 80s? I think early 90s. I've seen that movie so many times. I enjoy that movie. Netflix and Amazon have both spent months developing new plans for performance-based compensation, though neither one has gone public with a model just yet. Amazon still needs to pick the most relevant data point, like what percentage of a show's viewers finish it, and both companies need to determine how they will pay people. They aim to try out the new models in the coming months. I think we'll hear more about this if it does well. If not, then I think and I think they'll also try it on. I don't want to say smaller shows, but I definitely think that. Again, let's take Loot and Foundation. They would do it on a Loot before they do it on a Foundation. And then I could see them this fall when they have a prestige show, another Foundation. Then they would go, let's try with this show. Streaming services are changing their system to better align pay with performance, something many people in Hollywood say they want. Producer Jason Blum and United Talent Agency chief Jeremy Zimmer have both made similar arguments. When you get $10 million, whether your show is good or bad, you have less incentive to do it well. It makes sense. I'm not against it, but I don't think it should apply to everything. And then that's why it makes sense that they're doing it to only apply to Apple TV Plus produced shows as opposed to shows that are brought in from the outside. But yeah, again, it shouldn't happen for everything because, not everybody goes by the idea of I'm making a bad show, so I'm just going to do it bad, and I'm still going to get $10 million for it, or a bad movie, whatever. Netflix built on that model when it started making more shows in-house. It offered up top TV producers lucrative long-term contracts so they wouldn't work with the competition. Overall deals weren't new, but Netflix offered unprecedented terms and sought complete ownership of a show. But then how is that turned for Netflix? Just because you have complete ownership of a show doesn't mean that they're going to let it continue going for as long as you need it to go for or want it to go for. And then obviously you weren't getting paid what you should be paid. Anyway, it's a fascinating read. You should check it out because I think it's something that's obviously is going to end up happening, but it shouldn't be for everybody. Next up, IGN buys gamer network sites, and yes, there's going to be some. I thought the dog jumped up on the table. There's going to be some layoffs. This comes from GameSpot, written by Blair Marnell. The gamer network sites include Eurogamer, GameIndustry.biz, Rock Paper Shotgun, as well as a few others. VG247, and Dicebreaker. As a result of the acquisition, Marnell writes, layoffs for some of the affected sites have already begun. Brendan Sinclair, the popular managing editor of GamesIndustry.biz, was among the employees who were let go. That's kind of like CNN buying up like Newsmax or something. That's a concerning thing for the industry at large. You don't want all of the news to come from one or two sites. You want to be able to have someone from Kotaku, someone from GameSpot, someone from Eurogamer, and every other, and just a YouTuber, someone on TikTok. You want to be able to have multiple voices out there. Obviously, the layoffs are going to be with redundancies. They don't need, 7 Call of Duty review editors who specialize in Call of Duty or anime or what have you. But we already have IGN already has a UK equivalent. They don't need Eurogamer. GamesIndustry.biz is more focused kind of on investigative journalism and everything. So I'm not saying investigative, but deeper stories. So I don't know why the Zimmerman owned IGN is doing this. Gamer Network was initially sold to ReedPop in 2018 before the company signaled its intent to sell all of Gamer Network's assets in late 2023. So they probably got this for cheap. ReedPop has been behind the planned relaunch of E3 in 2023, partnering with the ESA to produce a show. However, it was subsequently canceled, and E3 was killed off for good the following year. So they probably just needed the money. ReedPop's Popverse comic book and geek culture site was not included in the sale to IGN. Additionally, ReedPop will maintain its EGX and MCM conventions in the United Kingdom, in addition to the domestic comic conventions like New York Comic Con. I bet you in the coming months, because IGN does not have a physical presence in San Francisco anymore. I don't believe so, and I also believe that they do have a studio, like a small studio space, but nothing like the size of what they used to be. I think I read that on a Reddit AMA with Dan Stapleton recently in the past year or so. But I venture to say that not Eurogamer and not GamesIndustry.biz, but either Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, or Dicebreaker will be shut down. I think this is just be an assumption. One of those three sites will be shut down within the coming months. Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, wow. Oh, well, Digital Foundry is part of Eurogamer, yeah. Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, oof. And Time Extension, wow. It's crazy. Speaking of layoffs, this comes from The Hollywood Reporter written by Pamela McClintock. Major Pixar layoffs long expected, now underway and restructuring. Roughly 14% of the Lake Forest is going to be cut, just for cost-cutting measures. It's the biggest reduction in Pixar's history. You never used to see reductions until in 2006 when Steve Jobs at Disney and Pixar, when Steve Jobs notified employees when it was bought by Disney. When Pixar was bought by Disney in 2006 and Steve Jobs, who was in charge of it, they were doing layoffs. Now, 175 employees of the 1,300 on the animation studio are being let go. This is to avoid the churn that they were putting out. They're slowing down on not Netflix. They're slowing down on Star Wars. They're slowing down on Marvel movies. They're slowing down on Marvel TV shows. They're slowing down on Star Wars TV shows because not only are things coming out and not enough people are watching, they're also just not as good as they probably think they're supposed to be, and it just seems like there's too much bloat. So if people aren't paying attention to Ant-Man and the Wasp and number 3, Quantumania, and that one's not doing well enough, and people are talking bad about it, and it just doesn't do well, and it doesn't really push the story forward, then they're going to start pulling back on this stuff, reeling it back in. Same thing for Pixar. They were putting too much emphasis on the shorts and on the TV shows that they were doing. Even though I can't tell you how many Pixar TV shows there are. There's Monsters at Work, and that's it. like how many Pixar TV shows are there? They've canceled a lot of projects. Wow, that's crazy. All right, hold on. Let me see. And they have Inside Out coming out this year. Elio coming out next year. Another movie, 2 movies, including Toy Story 5 coming out in 2026. And then like a bunch of shorts. Disney execs have talked about returning to focus on quality during the numerous earnings calls this year, saying creative teams across the company were stretched too thin in the arms race to feed streamers. And you know what? I gotta agree with them. They're putting out way too much, and let's forget about them having to release Lightyear, Turning Red, Luca, and Soul on Disney Plus. They didn't want people to just come to expect Pixar movies on Disney Plus for the rest of eternity and not go see them in theaters. It's important that you go see movies in theaters because that's how they'll get these things made. Go see movies in theaters. I mean, it goes back to, supporting a show about the with points on the back end. It is very important if you like a show. I'll tell you this. If you like a show or a movie, watch it. Watch it immediately. Watch it as many times as you possibly can. That's one of the tricks of it. That's not the trick. It's one of the tricks of it. When I was working at Cartoon Network, Young Justice, we learned that it was canceled months and months and months ahead of time of people knowing that it was over. And at some point after that, we learned it was canceled. The creator of the show was asked on Twitter, when is the show coming back? And and he straight up, he just flatly said, you have to watch the show. And again, you have to put it on over and over and over again. A show that is in Netflix's top 10 or on the splash page of Max or on the front page of Disney Plus. And those shows that you see consistently there, those are the ones doing well. Whether they promote it up front and then it just stays up there because people are watching it or not, or it's just up there because people are watching it. That's the show. That's when they're going to pay attention. They're not going to pay attention to a show that's in the back that's like not doing so hot. If Hacks does not do well for Max and HBO, then they're going to X that out immediately. And again, they will not tell you how it's doing well. They'll be like, oh, this is doing well enough. Movies like Elemental, it released, it bombed. And then a couple of weeks later, suddenly it became the biggest movie they had. It got $500 million globally because people were talking about it. And then after the fact, it finally released on Disney Plus and it did well. So if you like something, watch it. I'm telling you, it was one part of the tent. I mean, it's not content. It's one part of the tent. So we're going to be seeing layoffs. All right, this final one comes from the rap written by Kayla Cobb. NBA enters final talks with Disney and Amazon for game rights, but Warner Bros. Discovery still has a chance. This is another important thing. David Zaslav is in contentious negotiations, which I promise you, they better be contentious. But he's in contentious negotiations for the NBA streaming rights for the rights to air NBA games. Now that is up, Bloomberg reported that WBD head David Zaslav put aside $2 billion for the NBA rights. That's not a number that will likely have much flexibility considering the state of Warner Bros. Discovery's finances. That guy made $50 million. So take away half of that, brother, and you'll definitely still be helping out, even if it's a drop in the bucket for $2 billion. At the end of 2023, the company's long-term debt was reported to be about $42 billion. But now, because he did not, come out the gates by offering them money, the NBA money, the companies like Amazon and NBC Universal have jumped in to scoop up the rights. NBC used to air games, I believe, from the late 90s until the mid-2000s. And now shows like TNT's Inside the NBA are in jeopardy. Well, that show is in jeopardy, as well as about 200 or so jobs. And just a solid streaming core for these rights. And yeah, streaming is part of this deal because they do air some games. Now Amazon has, NFL games and some soccer mat and all that stuff. That stuff costs money. They're all factoring this in, and that's why the $2 billion is much more. And also Max airs games as well. So, which package could WBD potentially match between Disney, Amazon, and NBC Universal? It likely won't be Disney's, which by all reports is the biggest of the packages. Bloomberg has reported that will likely include the NBA Finals, and both Sports Business Journal and the Wall Street Journal have reported that the package is in a range from $2.6 billion to $2.8 billion. So they paid that much money just to have a lot of games plus the finals air both on ESPN and ABC. That's at least $1 billion in an increase from the $1.5 billion ESPN pays for the rights to the league under its current deal. The deal it makes the most sense for WBD to match would be NBC Universal's, but that's still outside the company's reported price range. In April, the Wall Street Journal reported that NBC was preparing a $2.5 billion a year bid for the rights, which is more than double, what Warner Bros. Discovery is paying for the current deal. The NBA reportedly asked its current partner for $2.3 billion, but WBD tapped out at $2.1. That would mean TNT would lose the rights to the league it's covered for nearly 4 decades, over $200 million. There's also a position these two companies for the NBA to consider as it looks for a new partner for the next 11 years. Compared to Warner Bros. Discovery and its financial woes, NBC Universal's owner Comcast is in a more stable situation. And then there's Amazon's NBA deal, which is at least $1.8 billion to $2 billion. But again, that's streaming, and streaming is huge, and that's good, consistent money as well. Okay, I would. This is a tough deal. Sports rights are important, and that's why we have Warner, Fox and Disney all teaming up for a sports streaming app platform, because people are reluctant to cancel cable and find good ways to watch sports. When Bleacher Report Sports launched on Max, it was a big part of it. ESPN Go. What is it, 2014? ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus is a big part of Disney now, and insofar that it's part of its own streaming package with the Disney bundle under Disney Plus and Hulu. I point to my TV that no one can see. And then we've got Bally things that air local sports like Bally Sports being bought up by other conglomerates and Diamond Sports and everything, and blackouts happening everywhere, and NBA streaming. You can go and get that and subscribe to that via YouTube TV or cable or by itself. You can get MLB streaming with YouTube TV or cable or by itself. But it's so fragmented and fractured because not one company is able to afford all of the streaming rights or airing rights airing and streaming rights for a sports genre. There's so many different soccer leagues. Peacock, Paramount Plus, Apple TV, that's how you watch those. Amazon it has some MLB games. Apple TV has some MLB games. Roku is getting free Friday night games. It's so difficult because they have to get a piece of the pie. If Roku is going to put ads in those Friday night games, they're going to get some money. MLB is going to get some money, and all the partners are going to get money because we're all watching. Sports are very important, and the NBA is in a perfect position in order to say, hey, we deserve this much money because we're drawing in all these people for the finals. We're drawing in all these people for the playoffs. We're drawing all these people in for the play-in tournament, which is just a brand new thing. And if I were David Zaslav at this point, penny pinching, not giving people like me a job again. That guy is every application I send through, he's going personally, nope. He's already been here twice. He can't come back. I want my $22 million in stocks. He made 22 million in stocks and 25 million upfront in cash and bonuses. It's ridiculous. So he made 50 million, I think. It's ridiculous. Anyway, but the belle of the ball is the NBA right now. Adam Silver can say, "Hey, look at me. Look at me." and now they've got them in a corner. You know, you read things online sometimes, and you see people talk about how, you know, and especially in this situation, how NBC was not good. Like their commentators and their analysts weren't good at covering basketball, and Inside the NBA is fantastic because it's funny, and you have three former players and Ernie Johnson talking about basketball and everything in between sports and regular life. But in the end, it's all going to come down to the companies. And you know, if I was Zaslav, if I was Warner Brothers, I would find a way to pay for this. I would definitely not want to lose, because when they lose, if not when, if they lose these rights, then that means all they have is NHL, all they have is MLB. They don't have anything else in terms of sports. I mean, yeah, they share the NCAA rights for basketball and some football games, but that's nothing. That's nothing compared to a pro sport, and especially the second probably most watched pro sport in the world besides baseball. Or, excuse me, soccer. Would it be soccer, basketball? What are the most? It doesn't matter. But it's in the top three sports, behind soccer and baseball, probably. So it's up to Zaslav to see if he can, you know, convince them in some way, convince the NBA and say, hey, look, we've got this. We've got Inside the NBA. We've got great coverage. We've got Max. Compared to, I mean, just look at Peacock. Peacock is not a good platform, and people had trouble watching I believe one of the Chiefs games that was just a Saturday playoff game for the Chiefs on Peacock. It was only on Peacock. People had trouble watching that. So why would you want to go with that platform just for more money? That's my question to the NBA. But also, more money. $200 million more. Fight for it. Listen, I'm done. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people all the time. Not any famous people from my gym. I really wish that would happen. That would be fantastic. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see, you can also check out the other video versions of the podcast, the Constitution, LinkedIn Logs, as well as, which is the business podcast, job podcast, as well as Late Night Lately, which is a late night show. Subscribe to those wherever you get your podcasts. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at @CPlusComedy. Me, at Chad Black White. Do whatever you got to do, and hopefully we all have a nice time in the future. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm trying to vamp until I get to the point where I can turn up the song. Okay, we're at that point right now. Thanks for listening. Bye.